of questions. Also, I was just going to say, also, Kristen is recording the meeting. So go ahead and begin.
Okay, good. So I'm going to start with showing my screen. Let me see if I can actually do this for you. I believe it's this one. Does everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so the one thing that I want you guys to be aware of, there may be changes coming. What we're going to talk about now is what is specifically there right now, how we can work for the way the system is expecting you to, but just know that this may change, okay? So I want to start from the very beginning, and I've just created this, and it's in, it's a test, research and development, which is my area that I use for Iowa grants. So, if we want to test a specific form or whatever, we do it from this area. Now, I know we've been doing other things within your specific areas, but I mean, this is where I go to play the majority of the time. So what I've first done is I've set up, of course, my budget. So I just created a grid budget, figured this would be the easiest. And then what I did from there is I set up my appropriations equal to the awarded amount. So I want to talk a little bit about the appropriations. So if anyone new here does not understand or hasn't heard this before, the new version, when we add our fund sources, which is the first step, and then our second step is to actually edit those and commit our funds, we can commit our funds by a priority order, 1, 2, 3, like use all of number 1 till it's totally expended, and then automatically go to number 2 if it's expended out of number 1. And then if and when it hits and the second has all been expended, it will automatically roll to the third fund source. Or you can go by percent. And I thought the easiest way to show you was basically if I have 3 actual appropriation fund sources for this particular grant, I can set it up basically a third, a third, a third as a 1. So meaning every claim that hits, it's going to actually divide it by 34% for the fund source I've designated, 33 for the other 2. And another thing that I've done is I've set this to a smaller amount than this one, because I want you to actually see with claims. And I thought what I would do after this meeting is actually kind of just open this information up and let you guys take a look at it yourselves. We can assign everybody the research and development just to take a look at it, or I can send the screenshots, whichever you guys think is more effective for you. But I did want to show you this. So I want to stop right there and ask any questions about this. Anybody have any questions? You can't do both. So I do want to add this too. If I didn't have it this way, you would be putting in like 100% for the first one. This would change to 2 at 100%, or I mean, yeah, like this. And then this one would change to 3 at 100%. Okay. 1, I want that one totally, and I'm totally going to use up the 6,600, and then 2 for the 375,000, and then what's remaining.
Hey, Tina.
Yeah.
I don't all 3 of those have to equal 100 rather than 100 each, because I think that's where we were getting our errors.
I don't think so. I mean, because I'm telling the system this too should be out of 100 as well, and then not to take any from the other fund sources till number 3 hits.
So does it only matter if the priority is only all one? And then, so where we're having errors of priority is all listed as one, and then people list 100% in each of those
Oh,
columns.
You are correct. You can't do
Okay.
it. It's
Okay.
either or. So it's either you're using a priority or you're using 8%.
Thank you for that.
You're very welcome. So I'm going to set this back like I had it to the 33, and then we'll go 3 at 33. And so I'm going to save that again. And percentages. And you guys are all familiar with the transfer log. Every time you make a change, the system is documenting this. So I think everybody's pretty familiar with that. Once you actually set that up, then, you know, the claim is ready to accept submission of claims, as long as, again, there's, you know, at the funding opportunity, you have to set up your approval levels. At the funding opportunity, you have to set up your claim forms, okay? But other than that, anybody could come in here internally or externally and create your claim. So what I did was I actually created one and submitted status, but I haven't put my amounts in yet. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to actually put in my amounts. And then I'm going to edit this and we're going to put this in. So remember when I had my appropriation set up, the way I did this kind of was like, I wanted to make sure that it rolls to the second one. So I want to make sure that I have more money, or I'm asking for more money. So it actually expends all that 34%, 33%, you know. So I'm going to put in like, I don't know, we'll go 67,000. And I did put in match just so everybody could see the actual. This is what we call when your budget categories all the way out like this. This is for match, but remember, you can have another reimbursement besides the one that shows, I want to say, like, what is it? Basically to 4, and then another one. This is the big reimbursement with all the columns, you guys. And this is a choice you can make for your program areas. Otherwise, you'll see it's much smaller. So like, I think Jeannie at GTSB, she does not use like this, and you know, the whole entire thing, even if you're not using match. So I wanted to bring this to everybody's attention because this is an option by program area to have additional fields or just to have a simple reimbursement with like 4 columns. So just throwing that out there. After the meeting today, I can also send you examples of both. And I thought I would do that because then, like I said, everybody can actually talk amongst yourselves with your program areas and figure out what you'd like to do. Okay, so I'm going to put in like 67,000. I'm going to put in like 10,000 here. I'm going to put in, I don't know, let's put in another 20,000 here. And I'll put 60,000 here. Okay. So I'm saving it. Everybody see that? And then I'm going to go back to my claim list because I think I have to save this and mark it. Okay, so we have a claim that is in submitted status. I submitted already, so you guys wouldn't have to watch me fill out everything. Okay, so that's when whoever is getting the emails for the claim status alerts, it would show up in your email box. It'll also show up on your dashboard if you go back and look. I know you guys aren't utilizing that, but what I wanted to show you today was what you probably are utilizing, and that is your action items. So your action items, you can come in, and we actually added approved at level 0 for anything submitted. And I'm going to use my research. And then I'm going to search. And then I'm going to find it. So is everybody aware that all of these are over here? So I could search once I get in here by my maximum, my notify next selected, and that'll bring up a name, and then elapsed time. So this is based on when it's coming through. These are all new for you guys, but this is a really nice function to see what level you're currently approved at, if any, maximum approvals required. So if you have 3, it's going to show you 3. Who was in the notify next possibility and who was actually notified as the next one that was actually selected. So we're going to kind of go through that process. But yeah, you can search up in here, or you can truly just click on all of these columns. And then of course, you guys know we can open in a new window. I'm looking for my actual DTPI. And there it is. And so I can click here, or I can open in a new window. I'm actually going to click on it because I want to be in that grant. And then at this point, it's locked down for them, but it's not for us. So once it's in submitted status, we're locking it down. They can no longer change that claim. Only us as internal users can. So we can view that. We can see what's in there. And then I didn't set it up in my funding opportunity, so shame on me. I don't have an approval process. So I'm going to go back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go click on the funding opportunity. And what's nice is you'll see this in on all the screens and all your previews. And I like that. So it's 384758. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go 384758. And I am going to set it up in my general information. And we're actually going to set it up for, we'll go 2 levels, okay? So now when I save that, that will actually, what did I miss? What doesn't it like? No, I don't want one. So now when I go back, that's what makes that edit approval up here show. So you actually, the approval process. So you see that? I have to go back to my funding opportunity. I actually have to say on each funding opportunity how many levels I want. And that's not only for your claim process, that's for your documents in general. So now if I click approval, I can say, and I didn't set anybody up, so we're just going to do this anyway. Approved. It's not going to let me. Now we're back to, instead of the funding opportunity, I have to go to the people. And you guys are going to have to remind me because I don't want to be part of your claim process, okay? But I have to give myself these, I think. I've got to give myself as the admin though. That's who I am logged as. So on the roles, I have to give myself these approvals. So I'm going to say I want both of those. Hope this will work. I'm going to back out. Don't know if it will without me logging out, you guys. Yay. Okay. We're just going to approve. I'm going to notify next myself. And then if I go back, this does show in your, again, your action items. So if I go back, I want to look at my action items. And again, I want to say now give me everything that's approved at level 1. It's still going to be submitted. Remember, it does not change until your last level approves. So it will stay in submitted status through the approval process till the last level approves. And then again, I'm going to put in my research. And then I'm going to click search. And now it's going to tell me when the claim came in, when I approved it, and who I notified next. So does that show you? Here's what I don't want to happen. So this I really got to take myself off once I approve these, because I can't be part of your claim process. Anyway, we're going to go back in real quickly here. And then I'm going to approve that again, because I would have gotten my email, and I can also do my action search. So I'm going to click approval again. And this is when you'll see that that submitted status will actually change to approved. There is nobody in the notify next, because I only set it up for 2 levels. If I had set it up for 3, 4, or 5, 5 being the maximum, I would also see another drop down here with the notify next. Comments, I'll go ahead and just put in comments. Now my claim is in approved process. I can go back and look at that approval. This is where, if I was 1, the program manager, or 2, the higher level has the authority over a lower level to delete the approval process. So if I wanted to, I could click delete. It brings up the pop-up, and then I could actually delete this. And because this was my last level, it'll actually change it back to submitted. So those are things that you don't send in to the vendor or to Dallas. This process of deleting approvals, as long as it's in approved, you can delete those levels. You can delete them down. And like I said, either the program manager or officer on the grant, or the higher level versus the lower level. So let's talk about approval. Does anybody have any questions on that?
So Tina, just to clarify for everybody on here, so once it's in submitted status, then it goes to approved, correct? Goes through the approval process, and then can you kind of walk through the workflow and how that status changes and when we can and can't remove approvals?
You are correct. So that's going to be our next step. So this is basically, you're in approved status. Okay. So here's the button that always seems to, right now, this is our conundrum. Once I change the status to awaiting payment, say for the I3, or even if you don't have the I3 integration process, if you change anything, any claim to awaiting payment, you can't change that status to anything else. You can't change it to mark it as paid manually. You cannot change this because of the integration. The system is expecting, because your system is set up to have an integration, it is expecting all claims, and I know you guys don't have that situation, but it is expecting all claims to go through the integration process. Okay. Once I get it in awaiting payment status, I can't make any changes. I don't care if you deleted your approvals, it wouldn't matter. This sits there and protects that claim from, 1, not going again to I3, but only going 1 time. And 2, it protects the awaiting payment status till we receive the file back from I3 to actually automatically put it in paid status through the integration process. So any of you guys that are putting things in awaiting payment should only be doing that if you are truly using the integration process. And I want to say again, right now. I'm not saying that this will always be this way. It's how it is right now. And to protect yourselves, if you need to make any changes, leave it in approved. That way, if you're looking at something, you can simply delete those approvals, get it back to submitted, whatever you need to do in approved status. You can also, which is the next step, view the voucher. Okay. Once I change this, and I'll show you after I actually do the voucher, but once I change this, I can't change it back. And I'm a system administrator on this system with the highest level. Okay. So, and there's your withdrawal. That's something new as well. So let's view the voucher. So when we view the voucher for the first time, this is what it will look like. There's your vendor ID pulling in. Everything else is completely, blank. We're looking for things. And then I also talked to them about adding this process for you guys too, so that you would be able to see when it was sent. So they're looking into that for you too. So I know some changes are coming, but we truly just want you to see what the system's doing now. And then, I know we'll have lots of questions. The first one is that if you only have one fund source, so ignore these other three over here, but if you only have one fund source, the old system, you would go up, you would click edit the voucher, you would click save, and it would automatically populate that one fund source. The new system, you no longer have to edit and save for it to populate the one fund source or the 6 fund sources or the 7 or the 3 that I have. We can use the apply fund sources button right here. It still allows you to edit this and manually change it as well. But I'm going to actually click apply fund sources. And it says, are you sure you want to apply fund sources distributions on this claim? I can say, okay. And let it churn, you guys. It's setting up here. So don't be too quick, because see how it's churning and that finally quit. Don't keep clicking, because that's where we have trouble making duplicates. The system is doing thousands of calculations, especially the more claims you have on here, the more it's got to calculate from the very first claim on what was paid all the way through the 109th, the 30th, or the 1st or 2nd. So just keep that in mind, you guys. Watch this up here. It will spin, and it's doing a lot of calculations. So remember, I'm setting up my priority, and I left it at, well, that's okay. We'll change it. I thought I'd changed it for this, but you know what? I already had this set, and I already had this claim submitted. So this is what it's telling me. So if I look up at 100%, I'm basically telling the system, this priority one, I want to expend 100% before you ever roll anything to this fund source. So when you're looking at this, I had 6,600 currently committed. I expended 6,600. My expenses this period is 67,000. So it should and will automatically go, okay, I've expended everything out of priority one. And now I have to go, because look, there's nothing left. Now I have to use my second fund source. And so I had committed 375,000 of that. It had to expend 80,400 to pay the whole entire claim. So the 6,600 came out of the first one, and this came out of the second one, because my total is 87,000. I want to stop right there. And if anybody has any questions, let's take questions right there.
I just have a comment. I feel like Tina is going at a very good pace here, and I feel like she's explaining everything well. But if anybody's having trouble with any, keeping up or anything, please let her know, because this is really important information. So, there's no dumb question.
No,
If anybody is having anything, please just speak up. I feel like this is a great opportunity to share, because I think everyone might have the same question. So feel free to speak up.
that's right. Just, yeah, that's why we're going to stop after certain, to give you guys the certain process that the system's doing. We do want to give you that time that you need. So don't hesitate. Go, yeah, can you walk me through that again? And we're going to walk through the other scenario because I want you to see it as well. Okay, so what I can do if I was like, no, this one, it's going to go to, a different vendor or whatever, different location. I can clear these, you guys. I say, clear it out, clear it all out. We're not doing that. That's not what I want to do. I want to manually process this thing. So as you can see, I'm back to unexpended. I haven't expended anything. So if you find any errors when you're using the apply fund source that you don't like, and I don't want to say errors, let me explain. If you find that you don't like, or you have other fund source allocations that you would like to utilize, you can always clear the fund source. Okay, I cleared it. I can come back up and I can click edit, and I can manually do anything I want with equaling the expenses this period. Now you could underpay, right? I want to underpay. Okay, look what happens. I want to overpay. The system is telling you that your claim and voucher, so your expenses this period and whatever fund source allocation you have made, has to balance. It has to balance. Okay. But I can manually put in the way I want to, and I can save, and I can put everything in one that I want, because I'm looking at my expenses this period. As long as I have enough money, okay, I'm going to show you again, even if it balances. And is that all I did? Yes, I did. So I'm going to click save. So unless you set things, which you can at a program area, and you can have, a leniency of 10% or 5%, whatever, you can have them cross over. I don't have that set. That's at a program area. And I think one of the things, if we have enough time, I think we should go over it, but we might want to dedicate another meeting just to the options that you have at a program area for your claims. And even Deb had sent an email, because when you guys email us to create a new program area, there are steps that we must follow to give you the ability, one, to just see the new program area because it's newly created, but there's other things in there too. And one of them is the reimbursement, as far as how many columns you're seeing on your reimbursement. But there are other things like, I want them to be able to expend 10% out of a different line item across the board, but I'm not going to allow them to go over the budget amount. You have lots of options. So I would like to show you maybe today, but I would like to have another meeting just on your program area setups. I think it's important for you guys to know. You do not have access to this, nor will you ever, but it is something that you need to be aware what your options are. So right now, Dulles, Dennis, and Deb have that access. no one else. Okay, just so you're aware. Okay, so back to this. You can set it up any way you want. I'm basically going to say, no, I'm not going to save it. Remember, it was 0 before. I'm going to come back and I'm going to go. I want to apply. I want the system to do its thing. So I'll let the system do it again. So it doesn't matter how many times you can clear that fund source. You can go through this whole approval process. So one of the things that I had mentioned, I know when I was emailing somebody on the same thing, is right now, and again, I say currently right now, because this process may change, but through your approval process, you might even want to expand and have another approval level to go through this whole voucher process. Because if you have 2 or 3 people in this process here, the system is going to enforce that you commit equal to the expenses this period right away with your first save or with your apply fund sources, which is set up in your appropriations. If you have 2 or 3 people in here, my recommendation is set up your approval process so that maybe it's that first person that views the voucher and saves it. And the second person comes in and goes, well, yeah, that's fine. I reviewed everything. Okay, I'm approving the voucher. And maybe the third person is approving the voucher and the documents. Try to think about your approval, because once you get past editing the voucher stage in your approved status, once I change this to awaiting payment, I can't make any changes to this voucher, okay? None. So I want to stop right there and let's just kind of hear what you guys have seen so far. Any questions? Any comments?
Hey, Tina, this is Kristen from HHS. One of the questions we get quite often is like if we have a bunch of fund sources, so if in our family health program area, that would be a good example, where we have one person going in, editing information for all the family health stuff outside of oral health. And then we have an oral health person go in and edit that information. They used to be able to enter partial information and just hand off that way. We've had a few things come up recently where they've had some struggles. I know we were kind of told just to have that first person enter dummy information in the oral health pieces to just as a placeholder. And they've had some issues with editing that incorrectly and then it causing issues kind of later on. So I don't know if anybody else has that, but if you could go through like some potential solutions for that kind of thing, that might be helpful for us, or maybe that's something we can talk about offline. I just know it's become an issue because we have so many funding sources.
I'm wondering if we couldn't use more of the apply fund source capability until the last one. Again, you've got, I know how you guys set it up. So you've got like one budget here that's like your family, and I'm just throwing programs out there. So excuse me if I say it wrong, but you got like family health and they take care of this budget. And then you got like the oral health and here's the second budget down here. But the first person is only responsible for this one. Right?
That's partially true. It also has to do with the fact that we might have 10 to 15 fund sources up top. And so it's basically tricking the system when you have 10 different fund sources and you have to go through and really spend time checking all of that and then trying to trick the system so that it actually saves, if that makes any sense.
So, but if I hear you correctly, you have 10 different fund sources, but the first person isn't responsible for entering in all 10. Only
Cor-
a few?
Correct. Yeah. And
That-
so what they used to do is go in, enter partial information. So just for themselves, and then save it. And then it would essentially hand off to that second person to go in and enter the rest.
Does anybody else on the call have this same situation? Where, you know, 2 or 3 people may be responsible for entering just their amounts, and then it rolls to the second person for their fund sources and line items?
Anybody? I don't see anyone in the chat.
I say we take that offline. I say
Yep.
we take that offline and let's do a little bit more on that, Kristen.
Yep. Sounds good, Tina. I'll reach out right after the meeting.
Yeah, let's do.
Okay.
So she has a very unique situation, but typically what we see is that whoever sets up the appropriations here and committing the funds would truly have probably a lot or some of the responsibility of either applying those fund sources manually or applying it based on, what is set up at the actual appropriations in the grant. Now, again, just because you set it up that way doesn't mean that you can't come up and manually edit this. You can, you guys, and you can do these. It's a lot quicker and a lot less fat fingers, with mistakes if you have the system apply the fund sources. So what I wanted to show you next is how the system also, once you apply the fund sources, remember I'm in approved, and now the next step is for the integration process only. The current step is I'm basically finding all my claims for my specific program areas, and anything that's in approved, then I'm putting it in awaiting payment status. I want to show you through grant tracking and through your claim search how this will work. So say I've went out there and I have approved and applied my fund sources to, 10 different claims. When I come in here, and this may not be the same person, it could be someone else. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click my claim search. I'm going to say, give me all my claims that are in approved status for my program area. Now, you might even narrow it down even further by funding opportunity or even claim type or a range. That's all allowable. But what I want to show you next is when you search this claim, you now have a new column called funded. If it's blank, it is 1. If it's a new claim, so you see it, so let me kind of explain. You are going to have blanks in this funded. Any claim that was on your old system and before this was deployed is going to be blank. It'll be blank forever, okay? Anything new that you are processing right now, and you went through the approval process on the new version, when you actually do this search, this funded will come up and it is yes or blank, null. Yes means someone has already applied the fund source. So I want to stop you right there. You guys, this is huge. This is telling you if it's blank on anything newly approved or submitted even, and that is blank, then you have not applied your appropriations. Okay. This is going to be a good one too, for if you had specific claims that, were for a program area, but, you didn't necessarily use the I-3 process. Don't put them in awaiting payment. So come over here and do, a more of a select, or make sure, your search criteria is down by funding opportunity or type. Maybe it's the type. Again, I can change any one of these columns also. don't put it in awaiting payment till you've checked out, especially this funded column. You guys didn't have this on the old system. You certainly do on the new, okay? When I do that, I can put this in awaiting payment status here, or I can truly click on the claim and I can do it by claim as well. Once I do this, which I'm going to do this, when I view the voucher, it's locked down. It's waiting for I3 to pick it up, okay? So you can't do anything. So one, if you don't have an I3 integration process for specific claims, do not put them in a waiting payment. If you do, and you have realized 2 months down the road that you applied a different fund source, or you decided that you needed a different fund source, which is what we're finding out. It's not just mistakes that are being made. It's truly like by the time you get down to a specific amount of money, you might decide that you had to use a different one, that you applied and committed the wrong fund source because there wasn't enough money, or you need to add a new one. Whatever the case may be, you can't do anything once it's in a waiting payment status. As you can see, I can't even. All I can do is void the check. So one, if you don't use the I3 integration process, do not put it in a waiting payment. You should go strictly from approved to paid. So you want that approved, and then when you know by your report or I3 search that they've paid that, then come back and mark it as paid. You know how you get the paid? It's by editing the voucher. So we're going to create another claim. So I'm going to back up here.
Hey, Tina, this is Don with Economic Development. Before you leave that page real quick, I just want to verify that if I heard right, we need to create the voucher before the final paid or awaiting payment. But then if we've used that awaiting payment and we're not integrated, how do we get it out of that awaiting payment status? Because it sounds like there's no way to mark it paid or anything, right?
Right. So you got to send those to us, and the developer goes in and they'll make the changes. They do it pretty quick. And right now they're in your system constantly anyway.
What information do they need? Because we have lots across different funding opportunities and contracts. Can we just say any economic development claims in awaiting payment status need to be
very specific? So yep. If you run a report in Excel, that could be done. I think, was it GTSB sent one in yesterday that I gave an audit, and I sent it back to her this morning. I think that was just a screenshot. If you have many,
100.
We're going to do this process till we figure out a different process.
We probably have 100. Do you want individual claims or do you want projects?
Claims.
I would go grant number, claim number. I don't care if you have 30 on the same grant. I would go grant number, claim number. And that's truly about all they need.
Okay.
So, and Jeffrey said, so you can run a claims report based on awaiting payment status? It's a question from him.
Yes. If you run the formatted report called grants claims and you choose awaiting payment, it will give you all of your claims that are in awaiting payment, and you can just send that to Dulles.
Sounds good. Okay.
And so I think this is we just want to reiterate one more time, don't use that button if you don't have an integration with I3.
Right.
Because that's just at least right now. And what Tina's referring to is, I think everyone's aware, we've had a meeting with Dulles and with Tom, and asked if they could make changes to the claims process. And so they're thinking about that. They're working on strategies. So what Tina keeps referring to is right now, she's showing you how it works right now. And then if any changes are made, we'll definitely have other training.
Yeah, because we're going to have to just deal with what the system is enforcing But if that changed, then, we need to come back together and go, okay, now here's the changes. This is what you'll do in what status. Okay.
Hey, Tina, I have a real quick question. If you go back to the main claim there,
Sure.
the awaiting payment button, this is going to help a lot. But I wonder, can the label on that button be changed, or is that a standard feature?
Claims?
Yeah, click on claims and then just open up a claim.
Oh, like this, you mean?
Open up that claim.
Open it up. Okay.
And where's the awaiting? Oh, it's got to be in. It's got to be an approved claim. The button that says awaiting, change to awaiting payment, or I'm not exactly sure what the label on that button is. Is that a customizable label? Could we change that to something like promote to I3 or move to I3 or something like that?
Honestly, at this point, I don't believe so, Dennis. That awaiting payment is used for alerts, the status change. It is used for I3. I mean, you would be talking about totally recoding your entire claim area. I know they are thinking about a new status, possibly, but at this point, I don't think we can do it. I can certainly ask, and we can fudge it maybe. In the background, we'd have to leave it as a waiting payment.
Oh, that's fine. I'm just wondering if just changing the label on that button might alleviate some of the confusion, because really the only reason you would ever change a claim to awaiting payment is awaiting payment is if you're sending it over to I3. So we wouldn't use it for IETs, and we wouldn't use it if we're not integrated with I3.
Well, right now, so I'm still going to say right now, we don't know, because that's still under discussion with the developers and Tom. So for right now, you guys, that awaiting payment, don't use it unless you do have an integration. But I don't know, Dennis. See, I don't know what their decisions have been made or how much, coding they're going to have to do. So till we actually know, we just know how it's working right now.
Okay, thanks.
I think that's fair. And we can just think of, that can be something in the back of our head, depending on what changes are made, Dennis.
Yeah. But all I know is right now, you guys, this process may change, and I look for it likely to change. I just don't know where exactly or what we can do. We definitely want to support your process. We just got to figure out how we can actually develop this so that it doesn't interfere with other clients that truly lock their systems down. So, we just don't know at this point. Okay. As soon as we do know, and we can get those changes over to you, I think they will be contacting Deb and Dennis. And then we can all convey it to the rest of you and then show you that process when it's on the system. Okay. So what I'd like to do at this point is I'd like to actually back up.
Can I ask another question about that awaiting payment status thing?
Sure.
Sorry, this is Patricia Jacobs from IEDA. So what do we do if we put a claim in awaiting payment to go to I3 and it doesn't go to I3 and or it doesn't come back from I3 and mark it as paid? Because
you have to send it to us. And that's what Dawn was asking. And that report, just if you run the formatted report, like Dawn, like if you said you had 100, do it in Excel. That way we might divvy some out to the different developers. So while they're in there, at the time we can say, oh, well, I was in there and I completed this many, and because I think it's a pretty manual basis. If it's on each grant, if they might be able to do it by program area. I don't know, but
not that I don't want them in that status. It's that
Right.
they need to be in that status, but the integration is not working.
Yeah,
So-
that's a different issue. So you need to let me know that. This is Deb from DOM.
Can we
So
send
you
those to
need,
you?
yes, you need to send those to me because we need to know why the process to I3 isn't working. And It could be on the Dulles side, but it could also be on the I3 side. So send it to me, and we'll try to figure out what's happening.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
And let's address one more thing. So if it's a new program area or a newer program area and everything else is going, but that program area is not, you have to notify us, the vendor, and we have to flag that in your server to pick up those particular claims for that program area. So I know
Yes.
there's an extra step, and that may not be the case. So yes, send it to Deb. We will figure that out. That's the first step I would do.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so I want to go back here because I want to create a claim with my appropriations. So I'm going to edit this. And we're going to go back and we're going to do this in the 33rd, 34, and then we're going to do a 1.
Tina,
And yeah,
I hate to interrupt, but there's a question Jeffrey has in chat. He says because of the time right now, it's 7 minutes out. He says, for manual claim process, can you please show how accounting approves a claim at the last level, then manual creating the voucher payment, moving a claim from approved to paid?
yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing right now.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Okay. I'm just going to say updated. Okay, so we're going to talk about going into a claim, and I'm going to add a claim, and then I'm going to put it in submitted status so I don't have to fill everything out. And then I'm going to put today's date. And you guys, one thing I was showing somebody yesterday was if you are testing, even in the system, on test documents, put your date as today, put it in the title, put it somewhere, because that lets you know the last time you tested it. Okay, so I'm going to fill out the reimbursement really quick here. And I'm going to put 40,000 in here. And I'm just going to keep this simple. We're just going to save. And then I'm just going to go back because I don't have to mark it as complete. I'm in submitted. So I'm just going to back out. So now I have my second claim. And I have been notified. I did the search. Do you want me to go through the search again, Jeffrey? On the dashboard, on the action items, or?
Yeah, I think there are our folks are starting to use that work assignment dashboard. So maybe do it from there.
You can definitely see it in the work assignment, and the link will be there. I don't want to do it because, again, I see every program area. Right. Action items. So let's go in. So if it's just submitted, you want to say, I want to give everything in submitted and nobody has approved it yet. Okay. Base document is claimed. So this is truly what you would do. And then you would, if you have more than one program area, you might want to filter by program area. I know I definitely have to. Okay. So then I click search action item. You may and may not, and I'm going to, again, I got to find my DTPI. So I'm going to do a search up here for DTPI, and there it is, and it's claim number 2. And I'm going to open it in the new window. So here's my search over here. Okay. But I went over here and it takes me directly into that claim. That's probably, so everybody else speak. Is that what everybody's doing the majority of the time? Okay, so I'm going to assume that everybody's just sitting there watching. So we're going to continue. We already set this claim up for 2 approval levels. I assigned the person and I went back to the funding opportunity, and that's where I set it for 2 levels. When I come in here, and again, this is preference. This is the system will allow you, as long as it's in submitted or approved status, to view the voucher. But if you are viewing the voucher and you want to edit and do this manually, you're more than welcome to come in And I can go down here and I can say, well, my expenses were for 40,000. This is unexpended 0. This I have unexpended 294. So I'm going to put all my money here. Or I could even go, I want 20,000 here and I want 20,000 here. Okay. Expenses this period 2020. I'm just going to come right up here and I'm going to click save. I'm going to probably at that point go back. Again, this is preference. The system doesn't care as long as you are in either submitted or approved. And I can start my approval process. Then I basically was like, yeah, I did the voucher already. So I'm going to go ahead and approve it and dock on it. It doesn't like it when I'm not in there. I don't know if I can save any. Just ignore the fact that because we got to get through this. So I can also view the voucher again because it doesn't go to submitted. So I'm going to actually approve this and hope it, yeah, good. And again, I want to say that I can come back, even if it's in approved status, I can view the voucher and I can also delete anything and get this back to submitted status. For whatever reason, if you need to delete that, that sends that email to that to say, I deleted that approval and you need to do it again. The program area or the higher level has the authority over a lower level. If I was 2 different people, number 2 has to delete. It can't be the lower level deleting the number 2. I'm going to go ahead and approve this again, and we're going to save it. Okay. We are now in approved status. I can view the voucher. I can edit it. And I have been in I3. It's in approved status. All I have to do at this point to get this paid is I put in a paid date. So I'm going to put it a 1/31/2023. You guys, I use this in my browser to save my data. That's why my calendar is sitting behind there. Okay. You can always change that on your browser, but we've had people see that too. So I can come back in here and go, no, I want to do it for 1/31 and I'm going to enter my check number and we'll use this one. I can enter anything else I want in any of these fields and I'm going to click save. When I click save, it's because I entered a paid date and my check number that I now have a mark as paid. And it now is in paid status. So now when I go back and I'm looking at this from the claims list view, I now have a paid and an awaiting payment, and this awaiting payment and paid equals out my total amount. Last minute questions.
Just really quick, I hope that made sense to everyone. Thank you, Tina, for that really good description, and feel free to ask a question. Amy asked if we could do another Zoom about this. I don't know if maybe DE just wants to schedule something, or if other people feel the need, let me know. But she says, is there a quality assurance between claim submission but prior to paid so that recipients cannot exceed the allocation?
That's what we need to talk about. So I'm going to show you real quickly in a program area, and we are out of time, but this is what I want to go over next week, and that is under your program area. So I'm going to go into mine, the research and development. And this is what I want to talk about next week, you guys. And I think it's going to be very, very important that we discuss all of the claim properties available to you. So I'm quickly going to show you this so you can get this on the video. Everybody that's here today, please, please come next week. I can't meet individually with all different agencies, but we're trying to get as much in these meetings as we can. Next week, I want to go over all of these options so you can see what is available in the new version. If you guys are having critical thing, yes, email me. We'll see what we can do to set up meetings right away with you guys. But again, it's going to be very difficult for me to set up individual meetings with every agency in the small time frame we have. We have to utilize our Tuesday meetings as well. And this is one thing I really, really want to talk about.
Tina, it looks like there's a question in the chat from Amy just before we leave.
Sure.
I think that's what I just read.
Was it the, how do I remove the pull down menu so I can quickly
no.
select the
No, I
date I
didn't see
want?
that one.
browser option. Go to your browser options and, you know, you got to basically allow it not to share. I'll send you an email.
Thanks,
I'll
Tina.
send you an email on it.
Thanks, Tina. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Just
that way it
just
won't save
quickly,
any data.
just quickly, I wanted to say that the critical part of that issue is the time between when a recipient submits 2 or 3 claims, but before the paid status is implemented. We need some kind of quality assurance so that Iowa Grants will, you know, throw out an error and say, hey, you've exceeded your allocation. So if we, hopefully we can cover that next week, or we can have a, you know, meeting with the Department of Ed.
So, yeah, do I have an email on it already? And who
Yes,
am I talking to?
I'm sorry, this is Amy from the Department of Ed. And
Hi,
yes,
Amy.
hi, thanks. You do have an email on that, so I just wanted to throw that out there. Thank you, appreciate it.
Hey, not a problem. If you have that ticket number, please give it to Deb. And then I will follow up with you guys after the meeting.
Will do, thanks a lot.
No problem. Okay, guys, this is all the time we have. I think, poor Don, maybe you have some time a little bit longer since we kind of went over.
Hey,
Yeah,
Tina, before we leave, I just want to throw out the upcoming topics that we're asking you to train on, so that people can add additional items if they're not listed. So next week, we're going to talk about the program area elections as it relates to claims. Tina, we're going to ask you to also talk about how the claim summary works, how those calculations are all working, both by columns and when you look at the claim summary, what statuses show up and where they show up in those columns. Then we're also going to ask you at some point, and I know you might not get to it next week, but to talk about migrating components from the application to other parts of the grants, and then building ad hoc reports. And then lastly, on my list at least, is the scheduler, or I think it's called the bulk document creator now. So those are the items that we have on our to-do list that we're going to train on. And if anybody has anything that's not on that list, you need to let Deb and I know so we can ask Tina to include those.
Yeah. Okay, send me that list too. I need it halfway earlier.
Yes.
I can't set up any of these situations.
Thank you so much for your time, Tina. This is very helpful, and we will make sure that Kristen, send me the chat again, and then also the video link, and we'll get that uploaded to our training site. And Don, there is a meeting at 10 with Tina and Autumn, but I think we have to go out and then come back in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just so
Yep,
you know.
I scheduled it on Teams, Deb.
Yep. Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Keep
Thanks,
letting me know your
everyone.
issues.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks, Tina.
Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.